Hello, this is Boamac. So today we're going to do CCUs, or at least we're going to try to explain it to some extent, especially for new players or people who have just never done it. So the concept behind a CCU is to buy a ship, particularly during an event, say a War Bond edition, where you get it for a savings. So for instance, um, when the Ironclad Assault and the Ironclad came out, they were a good bit cheaper, well, relatively speaking, when they first came out compared to, well, let's face it, within a couple of days they went up like $10 just on the assault, I believe. Um, so if you buy them when they first come out, just as an example, I bought my Ironclad Assault from an M2 Hercules CCU for $5. So I bought my SRB to Ironclad for $285, but that was because I already have an SRB and I already had store credit that I could use to buy it. I didn't want to mess with it. I know I definitely want the Ironclad. I'm not sure about the Assault yet because I don't know whether the upper doors work. I don't know whether it's got a tractor turret. So, not sure on those. um, so you can buy these during the events, usually on a war bond. So I paid $5, got this Ironclad Assault CCU from the M2. I do not have an M2 right now. So now eventually I could build to it. But you can do that even when there's not an event. It's just usually not recommended. So I can go in here right now, for instance. Let's say I know I have a Fury. And I could actually upgrade to any of these ships right now. Now, see, for instance, the Retaliator. Retaliator has a war bond, so I can buy it for 105. Now let's see. Let's say I just want the CCU for the cheapest I can get it. So let's go Retaliator. See if I can type here. So I picked the war bond edition. Now if I go into all ships instead, get rid of this Fury, I can scroll all the way down. All the way down. And say Eraser. Now, even though the normal Retaliator says it's 175, the war bond actually gives it to me a lot cheaper. So in this case, $15 cheaper because it's only $5 from 155 on the Razor. So now if I buy this, I've actually saved $15 right off the bat right there. If I do other CCUs prior to this one, that can actually get me up there. You can save 20, 30, 40, 50%. So basically, I would just add this to my cart. I would buy it. It's going to be war bond, so that requires new cash. Keep that in mind. Anytime you buy anything war bond on RSI site, that's new money. Now, with that being said, you can buy the Retaliator. Here, let's see. I'm on packs, that's why. Let's go to standalone ships. All right, so here we go. So the Warbond Retaliator is 160. The Warbond Normal for ILW is 175. And then you can buy it with the different modules. I'm not going to buy modules for these ships. Any of the ships that I buy outside of the game, I'm not going to pay cash for them. I'll just buy them in game later when they release. Now, I might, just because I can't see using money for that. Realistically, they're not going to be probably that expensive. Even if they're, a couple million in game or even 20 million in game, I can still earn that. So that's basically how it works to be able to get like a concept ship when it releases and get the war bond. So for instance, what you get for that is, on this one, you only get 120 month insurance, but on a brand new concept, you'll get LTI. Insurance, the way it works, whatever your base ship is, that's what your starting insurance is. So for instance, if I bought a Pulse with lifetime, and then I created a CCU chain all the way up to this Retaliator, now I'm looking at that Retaliator is going to have lifetime, even though the war bond only has 120. Your CCU chains use whatever the best insurance is. So this is actually how I've gotten most of my ships, if not all of them, with the exception of, I think, the Pioneer, all have lifetime insurance. We don't know what effect that's going to have now, but the concept behind LTI insurance is that once the game goes live, you will always be able to at least get that ship back with the base model. It won't cover your upgrades and so forth like that, like if you replace the jump drives and all that. But insurance is a whole other category. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime down the road explaining what we know and what we expect. But we'll see. So anyway, so that's how you can do event type purchases for CCUs to actually have the concept ship when it comes out without having to spend the entire amount of money. Now, I didn't have, well, I mean, I had $175 if I wanted to buy it. I'm not real big on the Retaliator, but that's just an example. So, and that's how I've gotten pretty much all these CCUs that you see here right now, like all 19 of them. I paid maybe $5 or $10 for them. But the exception of, I think, this Hull D, yeah, it was $25. But most of them are $5, maybe $10. So, and again, the way you do that is you go into ship upgrades, pick what you want, pick the all ships, and then just look for the Warbond edition, or if you just want a CCU to something else right now. So if I wanted to do, for instance, the Ironclad Assault, I'd select that right now, and then I'd go over here to all ships. I'd scroll all the way down to the bottom. And since there's no war bond, you're not saving anything, but you can still have it as the concept. And then I would pick the M2. So in this particular case, the CCU would be $15. So this would give me the Ironclad Assault down the road if I wanted it. I would just have to build a CCU chain up to the M2. Now let's talk about building the chains. You could do this manually, just when sales come out. I have to get to an M2. What do I need to buy to get there? Blah, 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 so forth. That's just a pain. Nobody's got that kind of time. There is a website called CCU game.app. And just as an example, you can go in here, you can set up how you want to do a chain. Pick long-term saving, current highest savings, whatever the case may be. This works best during an event because what this site does is it tries to get you the most savings that you can get. So, with that being said, since it's trying to get you the most savings it can, let's see. You would pick like what ship you want to start with. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to start with LTI. And then let's say I want to go with, let's say we'll just select ship from a hangar. I know I have some Furies in my buyback, so let's go with that. Then I just bought the M2 to Ironclad Assault CCU. So now I need to get to an M2. And then I create chain. Now I already have this particular chain just because. So I'll just show you what it's got here. So basically, I already buy the bag. Let's say in this particular case, I buy the Fury back in my buyback, and it tells you specifically that it's in your buyback. And then you can actually, whoops. So you know it's in the buyback already. Anything that says store will typically mean that it's just the normal price. You can buy it at that amount. Anything that says store in parentheses WB, that means war bond. That's going to be new money. So in this particular case, if I have the credits in my account on RSI's website, then I can apply whatever many credits I've got to it. And you can even add all of this to like the store. So for instance, add store items to cart, and it'll actually go to the RSI website and put all of these into the cart. They have to be available for that to happen though. So basically $470 is required. New money is only $65 because basically I'm just paying for these war bonds, and I can use store credits for the rest if I have those. If not, then you'll have to buy those as well. So that's just a little moderate savings right there, $50. So I would say $50 on the M2. I would save another, what is it, 10, 15 from where I bought the, well, another, well, I bought the Warbond Iron Assault, so I would save another 15 there. So altogether, to go from a Fury all the way up to the Ironclad Assault, I would save a total of about $65. If you do these during a big event like Invictus or IE, and you actually do it on, like, say, the last couple of days when all the war bonds are there, or you even buy some of the war bonds throughout it and then do it on the final day to get the last of them, you can usually save anywhere from, no, in this case, 10% is what I have on this chain. You can even go up to 40 or 50% savings, especially if you're doing over a period of years. So I always say, if you have the free money to do it, if you have the available money to do it, go ahead and buy some of those $5, $10 CCUs. All right. So that's pretty much the gist of how to do the ship upgrades, how to do CCUs for the new concept ships. If you guys have any questions, comments, anything, go ahead and leave them below. Hopefully this helped you out. Or if you know somebody who needs to see how this works, then go ahead and do it to them. It's by no means an exhaustive CCU example, but it should get the gist across of what you're trying to do.